right, construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another amazing episode of Construction Champions Podcast, where we're burning down the walls in the preconception of what it is to be somebody in the construction industry. Whether you're a builder or a contractor, there is always more we can do. So today, I'm excited about our guest, Mike. It is super, super amazing to have you here today.
Yeah, man, I'm pumped. I apologize. You reached out earlier in the year in Q1. I just wasn't making time for interviews, just with a lot of things going on inside of my own business and life. But I'm glad to finally be able to pull this off.
Hey, I think I got the better end of that deal because I got 3 rock star guests that I got to interview on here. They were amazing. I thank you for that.
Yeah,
and now
welcome.
we get an opportunity to unpack a little bit of this today and have a great conversation.
Absolutely.
All right, Mike. So we know WinRate. We know you're a rock star in the industry. You're out crushing it. You're on stages week after week, making a huge impact throughout the construction industry. But what I want to know is, what excites Mike?
Man, that's a great question. So for me, and this wasn't preconceived because that wasn't how you were planning to open up this interview, literally 6 minutes ago. I can't turn off the coaching, man. But so look, what gets me pumped is like watching other people recognize their own potential increase. What I do for a living is help people unlock their own potential and then believe in it. I have clients that go from 1 crew to 10 crews, 1 million to 10 million, working 100 hours a week to working 10 hours a week, being in shape, getting their relationships back, getting their money right, feeling like an involved parent, feeling like an involved spouse. One of the things that you cannot replace watching somebody recognize their a new level of their own potential, because until they see it, I compare coaching a lot. So we do business coaching for contractors. If you don't know, WinRate Consulting, we do one-on-one business coaching for contractors. And if you've ever seen them, like the show like Bar Rescue or Restaurant Impossible, they come in and they fix the environment, but they don't fix the people. That's why so often you go back to those restaurants and those recap episodes and they're right back to where they were. And I made that mistake early on as a coach as well, where I would come in, I'd fix processes, fix systems, implement KPIs, give them the secret sauce, but didn't fix the person to believe they could do it, sustain it. And they always go back to their comfort zone. And so for me, watching somebody believe that they're capable of more they previously believed in, because I think it's one of the top requirements of a leader is getting people to be better than they believe they can be. Well, that sucks as a leader because you're pushing people beyond their comfort zone. You're making them do things, and there's so many different ways to motivate, inspire, and almost manipulate people to do that. There's a fine line between inspiration and manipulation. You know what I mean? Motivation and manipulation is pretty freaking close, but I've learned how to read people to be able to say things in a way that gets it to land with that person, so that they can absorb it, do something with it, and then start to believe more in themselves. And the light bulb, even the logo that we have was built originally around I love if you've ever seen the light bulb go off for somebody where they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know," and it's I know, I saw it, now you see it. Now let's get to real work here. And I tell you, at WinRate, we've talked about it a lot this year specifically. We're almost more life coaches that happen to coach business than business coaches that happen to coach life at this point. You look at the Cliftons and the Sams and the Nates and the Lyles and the Les, Kenny. I got 10 coaches, Dave Owens. These are all incredibly accomplished businessmen who are also incredibly accomplished as fathers, as husbands, as athletes, and staying in shape and being dedicated and being disciplined. And we almost do more of that now. And that's, I don't know, maybe a long answer to your question, but watching the light bulb go off and watching somebody relearn and open up what their potential is inside of their own heart and their own brain, and realizing they can actually have everything they say they want, and you don't have to suffer to get it. Man, it's I'm 5+ years into doing this, and that still gets me going for sure.
You just excited me. You gave me chills when you're talking about, because that's what ends up happening, the business stuff, the systems, all of that. That's the easy part.
It is.
Come in and do the hard parts.
Business isn't complicated. Business is not complicated. Making money is not complicated. It's not easy, but it's not complicated.
100%.
I think it's one of the biggest misconceptions I had, growing up and even early in my entrepreneurial life was like how easy making money actually is. Keeping it's harder, right? Scaling it's harder, right? Making more of it and then, doing something with it, evolving your own financial thermostat to get used to living a lifestyle that costs more and believing you can maintain. I think it's one of the biggest hurdles to overcome, is like leveling up your lifestyle and then starting to feel like you can maintain it. We're so used to like penny pinching and budgeting and like how little can I spend and still survive? Now it's like, how much can I spend and still save? Like, it's like, let's get after this. Let's push the limits. And that's fun.
I love it. Yeah, that's a great analogy. Is how much can I spend but still save? I love that, because we have to have a mind of more. Like there's always more out there to go get, and we have to be willing to go get it. So I'm excited now. I mean, now that I know what excites you, I'm excited. Now let's get into the $1 million question. And that is, what makes a construction champion?
Ever found yourself revisiting a project because of a small miscommunication? It's frustrating and costly. That's why I switched to BuilderComms. Their construction communication management solution cuts through the noise, ensuring my team is always on the same page. Now, missteps are rare and rework is a thing of the past. Ready to streamline your projects? Check out BuilderComms today.
It's such a broad question, right? And I knew that question was coming, and I was like trying to prepare for it to an extent. And honestly, the best answer I could come up with is somebody who's constantly evaluating their standards and trying to improve it. Like constantly saying we're as good as we can be today, but it can be better tomorrow. Because there's no destination for that answer, in my opinion. Because the market changes, client expectation changes. Like what made a construction champion 10 years ago, what made a construction champion 3 years ago, what made a construction champion 1 year ago is different than what makes a construction champion today. If you look at marketing tactics and analytics and algorithms and client experience and consumer buying habits and consumer buying comfortability and dispendable income, it all has to adjust to how you are executing your mission today. And so if you're not constantly evaluating your standards to say, how can we be 1% better? How can we get a little bit better here? I think what so many people look at is like, how do I go from a 0 to a 10 here? If every day you were just like, how do I get a little bit better here? Like, we believe we're good, but we can be better. If it's one of our core values at WinRate, and ultimately a Champion Shoes, our nonprofit, the life I live, some other business ventures I'm in, I use the same core values everywhere. And one of them is continually evolve. Because if you're not continually evolving, if you're not analyzing and adjusting market conditions, if you're not analyzing and adjusting headcount, like something as simple as, the employees that got you here won't get you there is a very easy thing to say. And then take that guy that's worked for you for 15 years and let him know if he does not evolve here, you're going to have to replace him. Fucking sucks. That sucks. But the reality is, if you want to be a construction champion and you want to maintain generations, or you want to maintain millions, or you want to continue to evolve and grow, you have to, like, everything needs to be analyzed on a regular basis. For me, regular is quarterly. Every quarter we do a SWOT analysis. Every quarter we analyze our strengths, our weaknesses, opportunities, our threats, and we take initiatives directly related to that. And like, if there's any of my clients listening right now, they know that I'm pretty quick to tell people to fire people. It's not always the right option, but typically by the time you're asking me about it, you knew you should have fired them probably months ago. And at our last event, actually, one of my clients said they're going to get a shirt made that says "Fire Fast, Win Often," because like "Win Fast, Win Often" is our tagline. He's going to get a shirt that says "Fire Fast, Win Often." But really, it's, if you're not continually evolving and constantly analyzing the way you do things to try to get 1% better, that I believe is what defines a champion in the construction or contract, however you want to say it, right?
Yeah.
But like, if you want to continue to win, you have to always be analyzing, right? If I look at it like even a sports team, right? Tom Brady was never good enough, right? That's why he made it 22 freaking seasons, right? Because he was always looking to get better, always looking to dial in his nutrition, always looking to dial in his recovery, always looking to dial in his mobility, always looking to dial in his footwork, always looking into, getting better at reading film and adjusting to his new receiver core. Like, that's the only way you make it 22 seasons. But like, there is not a destination when it comes to business. There is no off season. There is no reset. There is no draft. There is none of that. You just have to constantly be willing to get better, analyze and adjust to the standards and the market conditions that you're existing in right now.
I think that right there is that life coaching, not just business coaching. Because as a person, you have to be willing to do that. I'm a huge component of we're never as great as we can possibly be. What makes a champion is the fact that they understand that. Like, you win one champion, you win one championship, there's another level you got to go to. And I think in business, all too often we get complacent. We hit 10 million a year in annual revenue, and it's like, we're rock stars, instead of understanding like, hey, that's just day one of going to 50. Like, every milestone can be celebrated, but at the same time, we have to understand that is just one step on the stairway to where we're headed. And we can get complacent there and not want to just continue to grow, continue to evolve. How do you help guys work through that?
Well, so something I was going to say that is because it's not just never being satisfied. It's also understanding that, like, you can be happy today and not done. That's what I think really separates the people who achieve a lot and end up losing it, because they get burnt out, because like, they're just never happy. It's never enough. They said, when we get to 1 million or 5 million or 10 million, we get that one, I'll be happy when. And, I made a commitment. I'll tell a story, then I'll answer your question, how we help people do that. But I think this is a really important kind of even personal lesson I've learned over the last couple of years. I got really tired of like looking back and wishing I was happy at previous destinations, right? Previous body image, previous revenue, previous homes. It was like every time I got an accomplishment, it was like, cool. And I immediately was looking past it and like not happy with it. And I made a commitment last year. I don't ever want to look back and wish I was happy with something I had. And the only way to pivot that is to be happy today. Like, the only way to make that adjustment, to never look back and be happy, because there's plenty of contractors like, man, it was so much easier when we had 3 trucks. It was so much easier when we had 5 employees. It was so much easier when we were doing 5 million. It was so much easier when we were doing 1 million. Like, but in some point in the future, you're going to look back and be like, man, it was so much easier when we had 10 people. It was so much easier when we were doing 3 million, right? And so if you're always just waiting for the next thing while looking back wishing you were happy, you're gonna hate the journey. You're not gonna be able to inspire people. You're not gonna be able to lead people effectively. You're not gonna keep good employees around, because like, that's an exhausting existence. I've lived it. I know this for a fact. I'm not judging anybody else. I know for a fact that is an exhausting existence, and you drag everybody around you down. And so I think specifically around being a champion worth following is learning how to be blissfully dissatisfied, is learning how to be happy with where you are today, happy with what you've built today, but not done yet. And so how we help people do that, a big part of that, I use a similar analogy, and I think it'll help, paint the picture a little bit for your audience is, when we find most people, they want to win. Like, they're on a journey. They're on what I say is they're on the treasure map. They're on the treasure map. But they don't know where the X is, and they don't know where they are. They don't know what they want. They don't know what it looks like to get there. They don't know what it looks like to be happy. They don't know what their life looks like, their wife looks like, their house looks like, their people look like, their physical being looks like, their spiritual being. They have no idea what the destination is. And they're not measuring shit today. So they're on a treasure map, and they know the treasure is here somewhere, but there's no way to plot a specific path to get there, because you don't know where you're going and you don't know where you are, but you're hunting for treasure. And so that analogy has helped me get people really clear on the first thing you need to do is figure out where you're going. What defines the X in your life? So there's 2 questions I ask. Most of our clients are men, obviously, the construction industry. We have females involved, but the majority of our clients over the years have been men. And there's two questions I think every man needs to have a clear answer to. It's what do you like? It's who do you want to be and what do you want to be known for in each of the roles that matter to you? Most people say, well, I want to be a successful this. No, like I have 40 answers to those questions for each role, because what happens is people like go all in on their business and they're happy when they're looking at their business, and then they go home. And that's a shit show. And they wake up and look in the mirror and they realize they look like a shit show because they're only focused on one measurement. But you have to be able to be willing to adjust, analyze, and evaluate each role. So like right now, I have personally 4 primary roles I'm chasing. I want to be a husband, a father, a leader, and an athlete. And in that order. And so like, who do I want to be and what do I be known for as a husband? Who do I want to be and what do I be known for as a father? Who do I want to be and what do I be known for as a leader? Who do I want to be and what do I be known for as an athlete? And where people fail at this exercise is they measure each of those roles as if 100% of their energy salary cap was in that one role. The business could be this if it's all I had to do. My marriage could be this if it's all I had to do. I'd be in shape if it's all I had to do. The reality is, especially as a man, you don't get that luxury, but you have a salary cap on energy you can provide to your life. And so you have to be realistic on what does success look like in each role without failing any role. It's like, what is the minimum requirement for me as an athlete, as a leader, as a father, and as a husband that I'm not willing to go below that floor to achieve a higher ceiling in any one of those categories? And so if I can get you really clear on the X, I get you really clear on what does it look like in my case, husband, father, leader, athlete. You know what's not in there right now? Friend. And I appreciate that. You know what's not in there right now? Son. You know, like, you know, I'm in my growth season. And so like I talk to my parents, but I'm not like prioritizing it. And so is that right or wrong? I don't know. But I get to decide what winning looks like for me. I get to decide what I want to be known for. I get to decide who I want to be. It's my definition. And I don't allow external influences to adjust that outside of a very, very small circle of people. Not that there's not just like, fuck what everybody thinks. No, there's just a really small people that I give fucks about.
Mm-hmm.
Small group. But to be like my business could be bigger right now if I went to every construction event this year. But you know what wouldn't be where I want it to be? Father, husband, and athlete. All 3 of those roles would be affected by growing my business to the next level. It's growing, but it could be growing faster. And I'm okay with that. Because you know what's happened over the last year? I've laughed more with my wife in the last year. We've had better sex than we've had in 12 years in the last year. My kids and I have spent more time together in the last year. I'm not in the best shape of my life, but I'm in consistently acceptable shape for me. Like I'm never going to be 6-pack abs, 7% body fat. And I'm okay with that. My wife met me at 330 pounds, bro. Like I used to be fat. And so I'm like 255, 260 right now. I got down to my lowest at 225. I look too skinny. I look back at pictures. I'm like, gross. Look at that little guy. Gross. And so it's like, I'm happy here. If looking up to a man that's 260 pounds, like that generally carries you through, isn't for you, cool, then you're just not my audience. But all of that to say, I'm going to chase the X based on my clear definition of what I want to be and who I want to be and what I want to be known for in each of those roles without sacrificing any of those roles. So you have to sometimes minimize the ceiling so you can not sacrifice the floor. Because there's only so low I'm willing to go. There's only so little energy I'm willing to put in any one of those 4 categories. So once you have the X on the treasure map determined, then we start measuring how you're showing up as that person today in each category. And so a really easy way I've done this, so I'm going to make the assumption that most of your audience has documented core values. Because if you don't, start there. But let's just say you have documented core values. I would take your core values and I would judge yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in each role, each core value, each role, and ask yourself how you're showing up in alignment with those core values as a starting point in each role that's important to you, which means you might have to drop some roles. Maybe you can't golf every weekend. Maybe you can't travel all the time like you used to. Maybe you can't put all your time into business. Maybe you have to say, hey, I have to start delegating some things in the business because I need to be home for dinner 3 days a week. That's my new floor. My new floor is I'm eating dinner with my family 3 times a week. If you're running a business right now and you can't do that, I'm sorry to tell you, you're just an overpaid employee. You're not running your business. You're letting it run you. Because you can make that decision tomorrow. And there's going to be consequences for that. And sometimes those consequences might minimize success in one role so you can wildly exceed expectations in another. And that's fucking worth it. That's the life side of this. That's the holistic side of this. That's the approach that allows you to go to bed at night, wake up every day blissfully dissatisfied. Am I achieving everything I ever wanted? No. But am I under-delivering in any role right now? Absolutely not. And that's where anxiety, depression, drugs, alcohol, porn, you're not dulling yourself and soothing yourself because you're winning in business. You're doing it because you're failing mostly everywhere else. And so that's how you get clear. Where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? What do I want to be known for? In each of the categories that are important to me, I call them roles, call them whatever you want. And then measure yourself right now. How are you showing up as that person? Now you know where you are on the treasure map, and now you know the plot, the directions that need to be plotted to get there. And that exercise requires an extreme amount of humbleness, an extreme amount of self-awareness, an extreme amount of truth telling that maybe you don't want to hear. And that's where I come in. I'm really good at telling people the hard truth because I care about them enough to tell them when they're failing based on their definition, not my definition. That's why it's so important we start with that. When we start with that, I'm then just shedding light on them underperforming their standard, not my standard of them. And that was another lesson I learned really hard as a leader, as a coach specifically, is my job is not to get people to do everything I want them to do. It's to get them to do everything they want to do their way. And that was a really big eye-opening experience for me as a coach. I was probably like 18 months into coaching before I learned that lesson. And as a leader, that's the same thing. Your job is not to get every employee you have to operate as like you want them to. It's to get them to live up to the person they want to be. And then you'll be surprised how much they outperform what you thought they were capable of. But that's I guess, a detailed, moderately long answer to your question of how do we create champions. Look, WinRate Consulting is all about building champions. It's literally what we stand for. That's how I think we've adjusted so much more towards life coach than business coach is, the business part, like we talked about earlier, it's not complicated. The life shit's complicated. All right, what questions you got?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, if all the construction champions out there listening right now, if you're not Googling Mike and going like after that right there, like that, as you're saying that, like I'm working through stuff in my mind. I'm thinking like, this is stuff I'm doing, but I don't have exactly like, I'm in my season of growth. This is what I'm focused on. And I'm focused on a lot of the same stuff, but I don't necessarily have, what's that floor look like? Like I'm still jumping back and forth between some of that. But it rings so true on just having more clarity. Like I feel like I have clarity, then you step on here, you drop fire like that. And I'm like, I have zero clarity.
Well, you have clarity based on your predefined notion of what clarity looks like for you, which is the benefit of having an objective coach in your life, right? Somebody who can ask you questions or confirm your clarity. Because like maybe you're pretty close, but like I could probably ask 4 or 5 questions and know pretty quickly how clear you are. But yeah, I'd say I have more people have these like aha light bulb moments on where they're underperforming a lot more than I have them with where they're overperforming. Because you typically know where you're overperforming. It's the underperformance that tends to get, the blind spots or the ignorance or the excuse making or the justification of, babe, I'm doing it for you. The fuck you are, man. You're doing it for your own ego. Because likely she loved you when you were broke with nothing. So you ain't doing it for her. Like my wife fell in love with me and I was making 42 grand a year and weighed 330 pounds. She don't give a shit. She just wants me happy. She wants me around. She wants me present. She wants me, just the best version of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not based on any single measurement. That's based on a holistic approach to living your roles to your standards.
I love it, man. You dropped just straight knowledge today. I mean, today it's life coaching is what you're doing. I mean, it's just be clear now. It's not just business coaching. You're out there changing people's lives. And that's why you're seeing the growth, not just personally, but with the business. And you have it all coming together because you're starting to understand it all and you know what that takes. And, you know, it has been an absolute honor to have you on the show. You're going to have a huge impact on our listeners out there. And I thank you for taking the time to be on the show today.
Absolutely.
So, Mike, where can people go find you? If they're already not looking for you right now and signed up to, learn from you, where do they go?
Now, if you go to MikeClaudio.com, it has the links to the WinRate. My wife and I's nonprofit. It has links to all the content. I got probably over 500 YouTube videos, almost 350, 360 podcast episodes. There's a ton of free content out there. Like, look, we're not the cheap guys. We're not trying to be the cheap coaches out there. I mean, it's going to cost you an investment that you're going to get a return on, but it's not everybody's there yet. So I'd suggest, if you're not prepared to, heavily invest in yourself financially, and not everybody is, and there's no wrong there. That's why I put out so much free content. That's why I do these interviews. That's why I give it away for free, is because not everybody can afford to invest in themselves. But if you're ready to invest in yourself and take yourself and your business, or maybe your business is the only place you feel like you're winning right now, we can help you figure out the gaps everywhere else.
Awesome, man. Once again, thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, construction champions, another episode in the books. A lot of great knowledge to take away here today. When Mike talks about being happy, but never being satisfied, to me, that is what life is all about. When you're becoming the champion that you're meant to be, you have to be happy with the wins along the way, but you have to understand that that's not the plateau. Only if you let that be the plateau. And what happens when we plateau? We're not happy. That happiness goes away. And you try to find ways to quick fix. Think about every time you're in the gym and you hit that plateau and you go look for a quick fix somewhere instead of really analyzing what's happening and why are you at that plateau. So go out there and be happy, but never be satisfied, and don't look for the quick fix. Understand where you can show up and what is that flaw. I think for me, that's one of the biggest takeaways of today's interview is understanding what is that flaw. What's those non-negotiables in those areas of your life, and outlining that so you have a clear understanding of it. So, construction champions, until next time, be the champion you were meant to be. Hey, construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum here, and I want to talk to you about how you can automate all of your marketing. We've had so many people on here talk about getting the systems in place. Well, we have partnered with Build 12 and Construction Champions podcast. Les O'Hara, the founder, what really excites me is his 30 years in the industry. And now he's built a system to be able to nurture your leads and continue to utilize that. I personally use the system myself. Build 12 is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of value in there, and it's a way to start getting away from Angie's List and all of that kind of stuff and start actually creating your own leads every day and have a system for them. So go on our website, check out the show notes, go check out Build 12 and what it can do for the front end of your business today. It's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend going and meeting with Les and his son, Devin, and talking to him about what they built for their own business so the rest of the industry can take benefit from that. Here on Construction Champions, we're all about helping each other out. And what is better than contractors helping contractors? I say nothing. So let's go take this to the next level. Go check out Build 12. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Les or his son, Devin. We're here to help. We want to continue to grow the industry.
Hey everyone! Wondering why you need builder comms for your next construction project? Here are 3 solid reasons. First, it keeps your team and clients seamlessly connected in real time. No more delays or communication mishaps. Second, all your critical documents are organized and just a click away. Lastly, accessibility to project photos is immediate and secure. So get builder comms now and experience stress-free project management like never before. Get yours now and simplify your construction projects.